Good evening. Hope you had a restful day. Welcome to the English News Bulletin. We'll begin with the headlines. The Prime Minister, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, points out that there is need for collaboration among relevant institutions in supporting the youth for them to showcase their part in the global sustainable development. Youth that export their commodities find the African Continental Free Trade Area to be full of opportunities if implemented maximally. Teachers now using technology on a daily basis in their classes have been noting how it facilitates their work while increasing the quality of the education they provide at the same time. My name is Olive Nete. Welcome to the news in details. Now, the Prime Minister, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, points out that there is need for collaboration among relevant institutions in supporting the youth for them to showcase their part in the global sustainable development. He reiterated on this in the Unleash Innovation Lab 2023 that is taking place here at Kigali. Prince Manzi with the details.
1,000 youth from 136 countries across the world gathered in this summit. These youth were selected because of their impactful projects that aim at providing solutions that led to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. While officiating the summit, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente tackled on how collaboration among all institutions, public, private and partners, is critical in skills development.
For the youth to play their critical role in attaining sustainable growth, they must be equipped with the necessary skills to reach their full potential to drive global transformation. This is also a call to all of us to work together as a government, different organizations and partners to establish enabling policy environments. In addition, development partners need to provide technical and financial support, while youth and the private sector are to bring innovative solutions to today's global development challenges. To achieve all of this, collaboration is essential.
The Rwandan Prime Minister reiterates that Rwanda prioritizes innovation as one of the development pillars. The chairman of the Unleash, Professor Fleming Besenbach, demonstrated that as the world is burdened by various challenges affecting the achievement of the SDGs, the youth are to be on the forefront in finding solutions, as only 15% of the SDGs were achieved.
It is the young people who are coming with a solution. When they're coming here, the 1,000 talents, they're put into groups of 5, and then they work together in these groups of 5, a very diverse group, probably from many different nations involved. I should also say diversity is very important to us, so we have 50% diversity, which, by the way, is another thing I truly admire Rwanda for, this high degree of diversity, both in government and also in parliament and so forth here. So I'm looking very much forward to the end of the week to seeing these solutions here.
200,000 youth are from Rwanda, including those from local refugee camps. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees Regional Director for East and Horn of Africa and Great Lakes, Mamadou Diane Baldé, reiterates that the youth are the hope of the world in the development journey.
We rely on you, the youth who carry so many burdens, that of peace and reconciliation, environmental impact, health, and mental well-being to bring about positive change.
The Rwandan Minister of ICT and Innovation, Paula Ingabire, states that this summit serves as an opportunity for the Rwandan youth with tech innovations aimed at solving issues affecting the development, including the climate change. Minister Paula reiterates that from here, they'll be able to meet investors that will support their innovations. Prince Manzi, AllTV News.
Thank you, Prince, for the details. Now to economic matters. Youth that export commodities find the African Continental Free Trade Area to be full of opportunities if implemented maximally. Prince Manzi once more.
Aline Wase founded the Happiness Company that manufactures leather products such as bags and shoes. She states that the AfCFTA is real, as she currently operates in 3 African countries.
yes, we started using the AFCFTA market to trade within the continent, our leather product, through the Traded Initiative program, where we are able to participate in the program, because this Traded Guided program is aiming to test if the AFCFTA market can work, to test the protocols, to test the regulation, the tariffs, to test if we can actually sell within the AFCFTA. So we started trading within this guided program, and we started exporting our product to Nigeria, to South Africa, and to Kenya.
In only 6 months of exporting her products, the worth of these goods are 500,000 Rwandan francs, and imported the leather worth 1 million Rwandan francs. She states that it would be better if challenges still found are to be removed.
Another challenge we have is the fact that not every country within Africa has complied or maybe has accepted all the rules or maybe entirely joined the AFCFTA. So some of the challenge we face is we can trade with some countries, but not with every country. And sometimes you can identify the potential market to the country which is not yet ready for this. And another and these also create delays. For example, there are different protocols they create from one sector to another. So we still have a bit of challenges with some protocols which are not yet regulated and so on. And because of that, there are some countries we are not able to sell, or maybe some sectors which are not able to sell within AFCFTA.
This is also emphasized by Honorable David Ole Sankok, a member of the East African Legislative Assembly.
Here in East Africa community, we slaughter almost 30 million cows annually, but we import more than 100 million pairs of shoes. So we have the raw material, we have the market, we have the labor, because our youth are unemployed. So we can set industries here and be able to satisfy our leather need within our country.
Only 8 countries started implementing the trade in what named the AFCFTA Initiative on Guided Trade, and these are Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Cameroon, Ghana, Mauritius, Egypt and Tunisia. Some of the youth demonstrate their excitement for this common market.
So in this sense, what we do, we give the capacity building workshops, seminars. So in this sense, we bring the successful exporters and importers, and they do share the successful stories to the young traders. In this sense, we gather them together, and they understand what the FCFTA means, explain the entire agreement to them, explain the protocols, because they're going to trade across borders. So they have to understand all protocols that are within that particular agreement of the FCFTA.
In the AU 2018 General Assembly in Kigali, 44 countries signed the FCFTA treaty. Through the treaty, entrepreneurs are to benefit from a market of 1,400 million people and decrease the rate of trade among African countries that is lagging lower to 20%. This treaty is beneficial to the youth that consist of 60% of the African citizens. Prince Manzi, AllTV News.
Next week, the East African Legislative Assembly will be voting on a motion geared towards banning the export of raw hides and skins from the East African community, as well as the importation of leather products into the bloc. With us now is the Yala Member of Parliament who moved the motion that is now being debated on. Honorable David Ole Sankok from Kenya. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you begin briefly by explaining to us why this motion was necessary?
Yes, David Ole Sankok, a member of Parliament from Kenya, and I'm popularly known as the global geopolitician. Olive, you know, in the East African community, we have 300 million people. We also have 1.2 billion acres of land. We have the longest coastline of almost 5,000 kilometers, meaning we are accessible to the whole world. So any product that we produce here can really go to the whole world, because we are the only economic bloc that touches on the Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean through DRC. So we can easily be able to cover the whole world by exporting anything that we produce. And aware that our countries are developing countries, we lack the financial muscles, but we have the human capital, the human resource. Our youth are unemployed. So we can utilize that human capital through investing in what we call labor-intensive investment. Leather factory, just like the wood factory, are labor-intensive rather than financial intensive or capital intensive. Yes. Exploration of underground resources like oil and minerals actually is capital intensive, but this one is labor intensive. So it will be easier for us because we don't need a lot of money. What we need is to ban importation of leather products, including shoes, wallets, handbags for you ladies, and others, and jackets. If I can take you through, in Kenya, we slaughter 2.5 million cows annually. Here in Rwanda, you slaughter 500,000 cows annually. That hide go to waste. Yet in Kenya, we import 25 million pairs of shoes annually. Here in Kigali, you import close to 10 million, close to 5 million pairs of shoes. So why are you importing, yet you have the raw materials? The raw materials in terms of leather, I've said, we slaughter in East Africa 91 million cows annually in the whole of East Africa. And we import 100 million pair of shoes. So why don't we utilize the leather that is here and produce shoes and leather products rather than exporting raw leather? Because we export our leather to China, they make the shoes, and then they sell to us at a very high price, 20 times the price that we have sold them the leather through value addition. Why don't we do it here? Why don't we be able to have factories here in Kigali, in Nairobi, in Arusha, or anywhere in the East Africa that will produce? And a leather industry, which is a tannery and cottages to produce shoes, does not require a lot of resources.
So we are speaking about exporting instead of importing.
Yes.
And to do that, we need to see how is the processing, the industries. What is the potential of leather industries in the East African community?
In fact, the potential is massive and is really an economic changer. The East African economic bloc can become an economic powerhouse if we decide to invest on leather products. As I have told you, because the leather itself is here, we are always slaughtering our cows. I've not even said about the goats, the sheep, and other form of livestock, including camels. I've just given you a snapshot of only cattle. You see? And most of this leather go to waste. They are eaten by dogs and hyenas. Or we export them as raw. And 92% of that leather that we produce here, they go to waste. The remaining around 7% we export. We only utilize 2%. So the potential is huge and it's massive. And it can be one of the biggest industry, and it can be the game changer in terms of the financial muscles of the East Africa economic bloc.
So moving ahead, what measures have countries in the bloc already taken to strengthen their leather industries?
If you talk of Uganda, for instance, Uganda have banned importation of leather products, second-hand shoes and old or what have you. And already you don't really need to put on industries because the private sector will do it. Once we ban the importation of leather products, we ban exportation of raw leather. Then, because the market is there, school-going children will require leather shoes. Ladies will require leather handbags. We will require leather jackets. Automatically, investors within East African community and even outside East African community will see an opportunity of an investment because there will be a shortage of leather products in East Africa because we have banned importation. But there is raw material enough. In fact, surplus because each cow hide can be able to produce 20 pairs of shoes. So we are capable of producing almost 1.8 million pairs of shoes, 180 million pairs of shoes. So we can be able to produce and export.
So what sort of time frame is required in order to realize the full potential of the region's collective leather industry with proper legislation in place?
Now that the motion will be discussed, and the motion urges the Council of Ministers, who will in turn urge the head of state summit to ban. If it is banned like this year, importation of leather products, the time frame is as long as the time you'll use the shoe now you have. Is as long as the time you'll use the jacket that you have now. Of course, most of us changes our shoes after 6 months or even 1 year. So the demand will be there because now there is no importation. So there will be investors who will invest in that industry because they have seen a gap. And they will be doing very well economically. And you know, it will pay taxes. We will employ thousands of youth. I approximate that probably in Kenya we'll be able to employ an additional 500,000 to be able to satisfy the market in Kenya of the leather products before exportation. So we'll first of all, within 2 years, I assume that we'll have satisfied our market, and then after 2 years, we will now be producing surplus for us to be able to export. And for you to be able to start a leather industry, you require land and human capital which is ready, and probably 2 months to set up the machines that will turn the leather and change into finished product. And you will also require a lot of human capital, and it uses a lot of handwork.
Yes.
You know, you see the belts, they use a lot of handwork. So in fact, it will be the best industry for us to be able to employ our female colleagues. You know, women are normally very good in fine leather work. So when you see the finishing of things like wallets, it really requires, and we will employ thousands and millions of them.
And finally, what will be the way forward after the Assembly has voted on the motion?
After the Assembly have passed the motion, we will now wait for the Council of Ministers to be able to accept, of which I know most of them are progressive in their thinking. They will accept. And then the heads of state, and I'm sure intelligent heads of states like His Excellency Paul Kagame, His Excellency William Ruto, Salva Kiir, Samia Suluhu, all of them, they will accept this one and they will ban. Of course, Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni have already banned importation of second-hand products, including the leather products. So already we have already a market ready in Uganda. Hopefully, the next sitting of the heads of state summit, they will adapt it and will move forward with it. So I'm optimistic that within this next year, 2024, God willing, we will be having industries all over in East Africa producing leather products and us satisfying our market and again exporting to all over the world. And we will be having leather products that are Christian, made in East Africa. You'll have shoes made in East Africa. You'll have wallets and handbags and very good jackets written made in East Africa.
Honorable David Ole Sankok, Ayala MP member from Kenya, thank you for taking your time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you so much.
You're still watching RTV News. Now to education matters. Teachers now using technology on a daily basis in their classes have been noting how it facilitates their work while increasing the quality of education they provide at the same time. Tablets are now being used in 761 public schools countrywide, thanks to a partnership between the Ministry of Education and the NGO New Globe, the largest supporter of technology-enabled schools across Africa.
Governments have done a lot in terms of free education, free universal education, but of what use is it to go to school free, but then you're not learning? So what we need to do is to ensure that every child that comes to school is learning. And that is what we as silent partners help and support our governments to do, to ensure that every child that comes to school is learning at the level of any child anywhere in the world. We are creating globally competitive public schools across Africa.
Figures indicate that 70% of students in Africa complete their primary education unable to properly read, only able to read just 10 words per minute when they should be reading between 60 and 70. Most of such students are found in public schools, which is why such technology is effective in addressing this alarming trend. To other matters, women and girls have been urged to help gender-based violence by providing timely information and evidence when such incidents occur. As part of 16 days campaign organized by the District of Nyarugenge and its partners, sensitization campaigns are underway to call upon all women, girls to understand the importance of not holding such information back.
The message is that we have all to work together against gender violence-based. Gender violence-based is not only a question of women, it's not only a question of men, it's not only a question of one family, it's a question of all the civil society, all the population that live in the country. So I wish all the population, all the people, all youth, all women, all men to take this opportunity and to use this service during this weekend, today and tomorrow, and to be tested against AHV, against hepatitis B, for having some suggestion for family planning, but also have a disease screening on no communicable disease. So this is the message that I would like to see, to pass. So go, meet in this place, come, see the theatre, and also in particular think about the message. And I would really love that next year the violence against gender, against women are really decreased.
As part of the campaign, local residents in different areas are also being urged to get themselves tested for non-communicable diseases. For the second time this year, Simirwa PPC has organized the Sime Golf, an annual golf tournament that is participated in by various individuals across Rwanda and beyond. The Simirwa management demonstrates that this tournament is organized as one of the roles played by the private sector in supporting various government plans, including the development of sports sector. The Chief Executive Officer of Simirwa PPC, James Odor, states that Simirwa aims at being the first cement industry in the Great Lakes regions, reiterating that sports is one of the pillars towards the achievement of this target.
The growth of Simirwa, we choose to look at it from a holistic perspective. It's an all-inclusive growth. So, in as much as, yes, we have the ambition to be the largest producer in the Great Lakes region, we also believe that we need to move in tandem with all the other critical stakeholders. So sport is very much in tune with what we see as our vision. So we see it as part and parcel of that. So it's something that we're very keen to do. We are keen to continue to invest in sports. As I mentioned earlier on, Sime Golf is by far the largest golf event in Rwanda, and that's something that Simirwa is very keen to own and continue to invest into the future.
The Sime Golf tournament started in 2017 and are organized by Simirwa and the Kigali Golf Resorts and Villas. And the story brings us to the end of tonight's edition. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, take care and goodbye.